right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Sea Deer Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. We are well into January now. Lots of action going on to start the new year. So if you visit exploringbytheseat.com, you can find all the live events that we have coming up over the next few weeks. And then we're racing towards February. February, we host all month long Women in Science, Exploration, Adventure, and Conservation. So we've announced some of those events, and we have more to announce over the coming week or so. Lots of great researchers, scientists, filmmakers, all kinds of incredible women working on amazing projects all over the world are going to be joining us in February. So do tune into that. Today, what is our plan for today? Well, today we are doing one of our favorite things to do, which is to go live in the field. We have one of our satellite units out on Sable Island, which is going to allow us to broadcast from one of the most remote places on the planet. So just to give you a little taste of what you're going to get up to, Sable Island really is a rugged, remote piece of land off the coast of Nova Scotia. It's a stronghold for seals and wild horses. And this is our first attempt to ever broadcast from there. There's complicated weather conditions. The connectivity just isn't there. But what I want to do is share quickly with classrooms who might be unfamiliar with this place, this spot on the planet where we're connecting from today. So you can see here, we've got Canada. We head out onto the East Coast to the Maritimes. If I start to zoom in, you can see Nova Scotia here. And then off the coast here, this tiny bit of sand, this crescent shape starts to take shape here, starts to come into vision. And this is Sable Island. This is where we're connecting from today. So who are we connecting with on Sable Island, you might be wondering. A few weeks ago, we had the pleasure of connecting with Damian Lidgard. He started to share with us some of the work that he's doing and told us about the expedition he had coming up. So he's an aquatic biologist with Fisheries and Oceans Canada, works with the Maritime seal research team on Sable Island. This is home to the world's largest gray seal colony, one of the largest. He's been studying marine mammals for 25 years and has visited Sable Island every year since 1996 as a scientist, as well as a wildlife photographer. So I am going to reach in backstage and bring Damian in here live with us right now. Here we go. Hey, Damian, how are you?
Good.
Good. Well, Damian, it's so great to have you here live with us. It's hard to believe, looking at that little piece of sand on the map, that we're able to connect with this strong of connectivity. We see you crystal clear. We hear you crystal clear. It's really great to have you with us here live from Sable Island.
Thanks. Yeah, you're coming through crystal clear as well. So I think the connectivity is good. And the weather so far isn't too bad. Hopefully I won't get stuck in a snow blizzard or something. But yeah, things are going well.
Perfect. Well, Damian, I think the best place to start, I gave you a little introduction, but why don't you tell students a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a biologist. I basically have been studying marine mammals for since 92, I guess. And I'm just going to actually zoom in over here. There might be a little fight that's about to happen. So I've been studying marine mammals for about 30 years. And I started working on Sable Island as a student, a PhD student in 96, and have been involved in the Grey Seal program ever since then. Initially through Dalhousie University in Halifax, and then through Department of Fisheries and Oceans Canada, where I currently work.
Yeah, this is a great view right now of those seals. Damian, roughly how big is this colony? I know it's one of the largest in the world. So what would the number be, roughly?
About close to 70,000 pups are born here during the breeding season. So this is the breeding season right now. And so there'll be like several 100,000 seals that come to this island um, from mid-December through to January um, to give birth and to give birth and raise their offspring. So it's quite quiet now. Most of the adults have left now, so it sort of peaked early January, and then the adults start to leave, and we're left with little pups everywhere. So there's a little pup here actually. So this is a little what we call them weaners because mum feeds them for about 3 weeks on a fat rich milk, and then the pups are they stay on the island for a couple of weeks, and during that period they're sort of transitioning from a land animal to one that's going to be out at sea diving. So the physiology is developing into a diving animal. And so they will leave after about 3 weeks, and then they go out to sea and they really have to fend for themselves. Like mum has gone, so there's nobody around to show them how to feed or where to find the food. So that it's tough period for a grey seal, that first year of life.
Yeah, I can absolutely imagine. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the classrooms we have tuning in right now. I can see some of them saying hi in the chat. Classrooms in Toronto and Hamilton, classrooms as far away as New Jersey, tuning in and saying hi right now. So don't be shy to say hi. Send a message in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and start sending in your questions as well, because soon we'll shift to some Q&A with Damian. And if you look near the bottom of the screen, you can see the Starlink unit. It's about the size of a textbook.
Yeah.
And that's how we're able to have this amazing connection right now, powered with just a simple power bank for charging your phone. We're able to do this remotely. Damian, they look absolutely massive. How heavy, how big do these males get?
Yeah, the males they vary in size, obviously, like from 300. I think the largest we've ever measured was like 380 kilograms. And the females are sort of down in the low 200s, maybe 240 kilos when they first arrive on the island. When they arrive, the females here have been on the island for a couple of weeks, and so they've lost quite a lot of weight. They like basically they're moving a lot of energy from the blubber stores over to the pup, and so the pup starts to build weight. So the pup's born. Here's a pup which is probably like 2 weeks old or something like that. The big male behind, and they're born around 14 kilos. So that's quite a heavy animal to give birth to.
Absolutely.
And then they can wean. The largest pup that has weaned so far was 74 kilograms, which is basically the weight of myself. So that's a huge amount of energy transfer from mum to pup, and it all happens within about 2.5 weeks.
Wow. You can tell that milk is pretty good stuff, because that is one roly-poly seal there. It's almost like a little sausage laying on the beach.
Yeah, I know. And that fella's actually, I mean, he's going to get even bigger.
Yeah.
He's he's probably still got another few days to go before mum decides to leave him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Damian, tell us a little bit about, what you've been up to on the island with your team, what the last few days are like. I know you're recovering some pretty cool equipment that lets you kind of get a sneak peek into the life of these seals. Can you tell us a little bit about why you're there and what you and the team are up to?
Yeah, we have there's a oh, this is exciting. We have a bit of a fight going on. We've been here. I think I arrived around 13th of December or something like that. And I'm here until the end of January. So I spent Christmas out here and New Year's and my birthday. Actually, I just had my birthday. My birthday was a couple of days ago. And so we come out here every year to follow to we do a census of the island, not like a we call it the circuit, where we go around and we track it, individuals that we've been following for several decades. So we come and we find those individuals, and then we go around the island and keep checking them and wait till Mum has weaned the pup, and then we go in and we record the weight of the pup. So that gives us, it tells us how often the females come to the island. It tells us about adult mortality. It tells us how successful females are being at raising their offspring. And that's all important information for looking at the population size. And then in July, we were out here. There's a little pup coming over. We were out here putting instruments on seals. So we were putting satellite transmitters on 10 females and 10 adults and an accelerometer. The accelerometer is like a little Fitbit, which records fine scale body movements, so we can figure out what animals are doing out at sea. So when they're feeding and when they're sleeping and when they're traveling and so forth. And then we have to get those instruments back. And so we come out here in December and we locate them on the island when they arrive, and we catch them and remove their instruments. So I think we've removed maybe like 12 or 13 instruments. We've captured about 12 or 13 animals with instruments and removed those. So that's been quite a big project. Then we have an American team out here. That's a physiology team that's looking at the importance of iron in the blood of females and how that's transferred to the pup, and what that mean and what does that mean for the pup. So the more the more iron that a pup has might mean that they have better diving abilities, because iron is important for holding oxygen in the bloodstream. So that's been going on, and then we had an aerial survey as well. So we had a plane about a week ago fly over the island, and it took several thousand pictures of the island and all of the animals on the island, and we used that to be able to count the pups, and then we can work out what the population size is. So that's been going on as well. So it's been quite a busy, really kind of full-on busy season.
Yeah, sounds like it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, Damian, I know that you also sometimes, maybe not this time around, but sometimes in the past, I think you put cameras on the seals to get kind of a look at their lives. What's that like?
Yeah, so that was a project that we were doing a few years ago, and we would come out here in November time, and we would capture a female or two females, and put a video camera, attached a video camera to the back of the seal, to the shoulders, where the shoulders are, and that would record footage of the seal out at sea, so we could actually see what seals are doing when they're diving down to the bottom of the sea. We can look at their foraging, their feeding behavior, and we also found out that that seals sleep out at sea, so they travel. So that a lot of seals stay here on Sable Island throughout the year as like a resting place, and then they go out about 100 kilometers to find their food. And rather than coming back to Sable each time, they simply rest out at sea, and they will go to the bottom of the ocean and just sleep on the seafloor. And we think they do that rather than sleeping at the surface because they can avoid predators. And one of the predators that seals have, which is we think might be causing more deaths than in recent years, is the white shark, which comes up from the northeastern states, and we're seeing more adults with shark bites, and so that might be becoming a significant player in the for the lives of these seals.
All right. And Damian, before we start taking questions from classrooms, which we're going to do very shortly, do you want to take a tiny walk for us and just show us your camp? I know we can't go too far from the satellite unit, but I think it'd be interesting for students to see where, you and the team are spending your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. First, I'll introduce you to my car. It's not actually a car. It's my ATV. So the island is about 45 kilometers long, so it changes quite a bit. And so to get around and also not to get bitten by seals, it's now getting quite windy. We also have each person has an ATV that we drive around on. And so I'm just going to walk up here. Just walking away from the South Beach up to our camp. And you're going to meet somebody who's not very happy with me. This is a male. He's lying on my path. And he's not going to let me go by. But I'm going to go in and say hello without getting bitten. Hello. So he's defending his female, which is behind him. The female has a big fat cock. So he doesn't want me to get too close to the female. He thinks I'm actually competing with him, which is the last thing I'm thinking of. And if I use the telephoto, we can get really close in to this chap.
Yeah, you can see, is that some battle damage from other fights, maybe?
That's right. Yeah, they fight. When they fight, they really grip onto the neck, and causes quite a lot of scarring. So this guy is quite old from all the scars. And you can also see his whiskers. The whiskers are important for detecting the movement of prey when they're foraging. So I'm going to move away from him and walk up this path. Don't know how far I can get away. And then I'll just zoom in again. So that's the camp where I stay. It's called the East Light Camp, after the East Lighthouse, which is not far from here. And then there are villages there where we keep all our ATVs. And just turning around, you can see the dunes. And then back to the South Beach.
Yeah, you can see the seals are pretty much your next door neighbors. Looks like they come up pretty close to the camp.
Yeah, actually this morning we had a little pup that was right by our door. So they're everywhere. They come up, and sometimes we give them names. We had one female here that we called Mrs. Grayson. So she was here for quite a while, feeding her pup. I'm not sure what I'd call that male. It's a bit grumpy, Mr. Grumpy, maybe.
Yeah, that'll work.
So the males make a lot of growling noises like that. It's like their aggressive call. And females also make kind of a wooing sound, and that's their aggressive call. So I guess I can go down, introduce you to a female. If you get down low, then they're less intimidated by you. they're also very curious. She just came up and smelt my leg. So it's not something that I would recommend doing unless you're very comfortable with a very large wild animal.
Yeah, that's great. And it looks like the pup there. It looks like a pup's giving you a little look over.
Yeah, this pup's quite a chubby little fella. So he's getting close to being weaned. He's probably like 50 kilos or more.
So Damian, we often will connect with a team out in California, and they work with the elephant seals.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they show us the tags that they put on the flippers of the elephant seals. Do you do the same thing? Do you put tags on the flippers of these ones as well to help you tell the difference?
Exactly, yeah. So those females that we follow every year, when they give birth to their pup, we wait a few days for mum to like bond with her pup, so we're not causing any disturbance. And then we'll go in and then we'll tag the pup with a little flipper tag. It's basically the same type of tag that one puts in the ear of a cow. It's like a cattle ear tag. And we can use that to identify the pup and make sure that we know which pup belongs to which mum. So we can follow them throughout the nursing period. None of these pups have tags in, so I can't show you one. But yeah, we do the same thing as they do with the elephant seals.
All right. Well, Damian, I think it's time that we take some questions from our classrooms who are tuning in. I'm going to take one from YouTube first, and then we'll go from there. So the first question I have here, Damian, is from a class in Hamilton. And they want to know, how does the weather change on Sable Island during the year? And can that impact the size of the seal colony?
Oops, hang on. So grey seals really like cold weather. So if it gets too warm here, right now it's -6 Celsius, and with a significant wind chill, and the seals love it. They don't care at all about that weather. When it gets close to 10 Celsius, all the seals will be close to the surf line because they're getting too warm. So during I'm just going to go over here where there's less wind. During the breeding season, there's not very much of an issue with weather. Then it kind of warms up during spring and summer, and it can be quite warm out here. When I'm out here in July, I'm usually wearing like shorts and t-shirts. In fact, all the way through to October. But the seals, that doesn't really bother the seals too much because they're always very close to the surf line, and they don't spend a lot of time. They only spend a few days or so holed out on the island before they go out and forage to feed. So they don't. They're not really impacted too much by weather, but they don't like warm weather. So as I say, if it gets too warm here, the distribution of the seals on the beach really changes. That all the animals move down to the surf line, whereas normally they're all spread out across the beach.
All right. Well, we have a group of students here hanging out with us. They're actually joining us from Illinois today. How we doing, crew? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you might even have come in early for this today, which is pretty cool. Yeah, very cool. Do you want to grab the mic? I can't hear you yet. I think it's still on mute.
Okay. I said they all came in extra early for you. Here we go. Here's a question. We have quite a few questions as you get to them.
Let's get some of them in.
Do the pups play with the others?
Oh
You
yeah.
heard that?
Well, yeah, I heard that. Do the pups play with the others? The pups are very playful, especially when mum goes. When mum leaves, the pups sort of hang out together. So I can show you some pups over here. But, oh, look, one's falling down the drain.
Oh no.
He's rolling down the hill.
He's rolling down the hill. They get so large, they're like little barrels, and then if they slip, they roll down the side of the cliff, the dune side of the cliff of the dune. So they oh, and he's still going. So they're kind of funny because they like to hang out together, but they don't like to be too close together. So if they get too close, then they kind of get angry with each other. But they are quite playful.
All right. Who's up next? Let's get another question.
Vika, come on up.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Vika.
So how do they sleep underwater if they have to breathe air?
That's a very good question. So their heart rate really drops very, 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 very low. So unlike us, they can have a heart rate like less than 10 beats per minute. My heart rate would be around maybe 40 or 50 beats per minute. And that really reduces the amount of oxygen. So they get all of their oxygen from their blood. And they have lots of blood. Seals have a lot of blood, way more blood than we have. And so that's where they get their oxygen from. And if their heart rate drops down very low, it means they're using less oxygen. So when they go to sleep, they kind of slowly descend down to the bottom of the sea without really moving very much. Then they just lie there without moving, have a very low heart rate, and then after 10 minutes or so, they slowly go back up to the surface to take a breath. And then they slowly go back down again. So everything's just done very slowly, so they don't use too much oxygen from their blood.
Vika, you had another question,
Oh,
right?
yeah. So why don't the baby ones have any tags yet?
So these females here in front of us with their pups, we don't follow these females, so we don't have to tag them. There's no need for us to tag them.
5 feet. So
There are other females on the island that we follow every year, so we know who they are, and their pups do have a tag. I just know none of those pups are around here at the moment.
Thank you. We have one more, I think, here, if you can take it.
Yeah, let's grab one more, then I'll go back to YouTube.
There you go.
Why are the baby seals white?
That's a great question. I love that question. So if you look over here, you can see, right, that those pups, some of those pups aren't white. There's that very dark one. So he's lost his white coat. So when they're born with this white coat, and it has very, very fine hair, So it really helps them to keep warm. But it's not very good when they go into the water because it traps a lot of air, and so it's very hard for them to dive. So after about 3 weeks, they start to lose that white coat, and then they get the adult coat, like this one over here. And so that's an adult coat, and that coat's very different, and it's much more better for diving than the white coat.
All right, very cool. Well, thanks, crew. Those are some great questions. We'll see if we can stop in maybe at the end for one more before we wrap up. I'm going to take a couple here from YouTube. Damian, do you need special permission to go to the island?
Yes, you do. So the Sable Island is now a national park of Canada. I think it became a park around 2012 or something like that. So if you want to come here, you absolutely can come here. You just need to get permission from Parks Canada. And unfortunately, it is quite expensive to get here because it's 300 kilometers offshore. So you have to either come with on a cruise. There are some cruises that pop by Sable Island, and you can land on the island, or you can come in by helicopter or plane. But as you can imagine, it's several $1,000s to be able to take that trip.
All right. And then you're pretty remote, you're pretty isolated. So what does your survival kit look like? What gear do you have to help stay safe on the island?
Yeah, okay, so I'll show you my kit, so to speak. I'm wearing this jacket. This is like a very tough waterproof. Well, it's rainproof and it's windproof jacket, and it's also I have pants as well that are, or trousers that like also. It's hard to show you that I'm also wearing, which are also windproof. You really need windproof gear out here because it's always windy. But you also need gear that's, if you do get bitten by a seal, they're not going to rip your clothing. So this clothing is it's used by fishermen, but they don't actually like it. It's very tough. It doesn't tear as easily as other clothing. And then we wear lots of thermal gear underneath our wind gear, and of course gloves and hats. And we also wear a helmet for because we're driving the ATV. And so that's pretty much it. Then we each have a radio. We have a VHF radio which we use to communicate with other members of the team. And we also have a GPS unit, so that tracks us where we're moving on the island, which is really useful for us to be able to figure out where we've been and where we haven't been. So that's pretty much it. And then we use hand warmers when it gets really cold, like today, and snacks and so forth to keep us warm, because we spend the whole day outside in all weather. We go home, we go back to the cabin for lunch around noon, and then we're back out again in the afternoon until it gets dark.
All right. What about capturing the seal? So this classroom really wants to know, how do you catch them to remove the gear?
That's another good question. Yeah, so we use this net. It's basically a net that's attached to two poles, and you literally jump onto the seal with the net. So you put the net in front of you, and when the opportunity is right, you literally jump onto the seal and wrap the net around it, and then you tie the end of the net up at the back, and then the seal can't get out of the net, and they also can't bite you. And then they also tend to calm down quite a bit when they get into the net. So there might be like, like if someone comes up and hugs you, gives you a big hug, it kind of feels good. So maybe the net kind of feels the same way to a seal. I've never been caught in a seal net, so I don't know. Males are a bit different. When you catch a male, they're just not happy about it. And even when they're in the nets, they're grumpy and snarly. So yeah, that's how we catch them.
All right. So you learn important things when you tag them, like with the accelerometer. I'm sure you can check out the depth they're diving at. Do you know roughly how long they can stay underwater? Miss Hakano's crew is wondering how long they can stay underwater.
Yeah, so when we were looking at sleeping behavior and feeding behavior using the accelerometer, one of our females was able to stay underwater sleeping for about 16 minutes. So they're not like gray seals are not the biggest divers of the seal world. They can dive several hundred meters, 200 or 300 meters. They certainly can do that, but they typically dive quite relatively shallow, maybe 50, 60 meters to find their food. Hooded seals, which live up in the Arctic, they're the big divers, and they can stay underwater for much longer, and they can dive easily down to 500-600 meters in depth, which is remarkable.
So Damian, I've got a classroom here wondering, out of all, as a biologist, there's so many animals, plants that you could choose to study. So why seals? What attracted you to studying seals?
Yeah, I was at Aberdeen University, and I don't even remember why I went, but I went to a conference on marine mammals in Inverness in Scotland, and I was maybe 23 years old or something like that. And up to that point, I still was like kind of figuring out where I was going in my career. But when I went to that conference, it was like a light just turned on. And I just knew that at that point that I wanted to work with marine mammals. I think partly because I'm interested in animals that show lots of adaptations to living. So seals, they've adapted to like living on land, but they've also adapted to this environment that is quite alien to us, the ocean. And just being able to live a life at sea when you're an air-breathing animal, I just find, really fascinating. So that's why I started studying marine mammals. I also had a lot of interest in reptiles as well, like snakes, for example. If you think about an animal and you say, okay, this animal, it's blind, it's deaf, it has no limbs, and you would think, well, I'm not going to be afraid of that animal. But snakes are the most feared of animals because they're so well adapted to their environment. So that's what got me interested in seals, is just their adaptations to the ocean and also to land.
All right, Damian. Well, we see the wind blowing there across the water, so we're just going to ask you one more question here before we let you go warm up and carry on with your day. I'm going to bring in our crew from Illinois again. If you want to ask one more question.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the presentation. It's great.
No problem.
Do you work with horses too?
Well, I was hoping horses would show up, but there are horses on the island, and they've been here since the 1750s, and they actually do come here quite often to this spot that I'm sitting at, and I was kind of hoping that they would show up, but they haven't shown up. It's quite windy today, so it's windy and cold, so they're probably hiding behind a dune. We don't work with the horses. We're just focused on the seals, but we see the horses every day. But there is a group that comes out in the summer to study the horses.
I'm going to share my screen here really quickly. I've got one of Damian's photos here, so you can see some of those wild horses amongst the seals on the beach. So there's a little picture, so you guys can get a a peek at what those wild horses look like.
Yeah.
So
look
we
like
may, if everything cooperates, we may try another connection on Friday later in the day. So maybe we'll get lucky if we're able to do that on Friday. But for now, here's a nice picture that you can see the dunes in the background, the waves crashing, and then those horses making their way through the seals. Pretty cool.
Yeah, if we do it Friday, I'll try to hopefully find some horses to be able to show.
All right. Well, thanks for that last question there, Illinois crew. That was great. Thanks for coming in early today as well. We love that, of course. Damian, I want to start off with a huge shout out to our classrooms. We had a big crew tuning in live on YouTube, so thank you for sending in those great questions. And then just a huge shout out to you, Damian. I know it's cold. I know it's windy. I know you've got lots of work to do, so you have no idea how much we appreciate stealing some of your time this morning and learning a bit more about the important work you're doing out on Sable Island.
Yeah, well, thank you for the invitation. I really enjoy it. And I enjoy showing the work to people and this island and its wildlife because it's such an amazing place
Absolutely.
to be at. Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed that we're able to do another Friday connection. Just send me a message anytime and I'll get it set up. But for now, get warm, have a warm drink, maybe a snack, and then good luck catching those last few seals that you have to get the gear off.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. One more view of our loungers on the beach. I hope you guys have a good day too. They were pretty good performers today. It was great to see them, especially that couple who rolled down the hill.
Yeah, Mr. Grumpy.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, Damian, we're going to let you go. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you to all the classrooms. We hope to see you in more events coming up, and maybe we'll see some of you on Friday. But for now, we're going to say goodbye and we're going to sign off. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.